Welcome and good morning. Today we will have a speaking series, episode 1, with Professor Tan Ngoh Tiong, the chair of Global Institute of Social Work and the board member of International Association School of Social Work. We are so delighted and pleased to have you here today. Before we begin, we will have you say a few words, and then we'll have our team member introduce the set of questions. Thank you very much, Professor.
Thank you, Professor Wana. We are grateful that the ASEAN Training Centre for Social Work is launching this series, and we are happy to participate the Global Institute of Social Work as well as the International Associations of Schools of Social Work. The ASEAN Training Centre is going to be an impact for the communities around ASEAN, and we wish all the professionals continue training so that we upgrade our skills and competence to serve the society better. Thank you.
Good morning, Dr. Tan. Today there are 4 groups of questions asked by the ATCSW staff and interns. So we're starting the first question by Prof Supachaia.
สวัสดีค่ะ Dr. Tan. It's my honor to be here today to ask you about social problems and social work questions. So the broad social problems that I have, there are 2 questions. The first one is, who defines what the social problem is?
Well, it's a good question. Social problems are issues, concerns that affect large number of people. If it is just one person's personal problem, then they will solve it themselves. If it affects a number of people, then the community will take it seriously and the community will actually do something about it. So social problems are things that have to be addressed.
Thank you. And next, why do some social problems receive much attention while others are ignored?
Very good question. There are many social problems, problems of poverty, problems of discrimination, problems that affect employment, for example, say unfair practices of employment, or people from rural or foreign countries coming into a city to work. So these issues and problems will receive attention because it affects a number of people. As to who defines and how it is affecting, usually they are economic and political. Therefore, the government would set laws or legislations to deal with some of these social problems. For example, in the recent times, we see many transnational marriages, people from Singapore marrying Thai, or people from the Western countries marrying Asian. So you have transnational families and it's getting a lot of attention. And this kind of problems or concerns have to be addressed because it is affecting the social economic community, and we then have to be prioritizing social problems and issues so that they can be resolved. Training, education, intervention like counseling, casework, or community integration of some of these people. So depending on the types of problem and the cultural context, they are actually selected for intervention or policy issues.
Thank you. That's a very good answer. It depends on the context and cultural, depends on the country as well.
Yes.
And the last one that I would like to ask, what are the impacts of defining social problem in a particular way?
You know, social problems are defined by public opinion. It can be even in the media now. Social media can define the issues and concern or the citizens putting it up on the YouTube and becoming a big issue. Usually, social policy have a social economic background, so that people address it because there is a social investment value, like issue of juvenile delinquency. If you can rehabilitate, you can integrate some younger people who are involved with crimes and delinquency, they can make positive contribution to society. So you find that there is an economic investment in helping young people to be integrated into society and contributing to their social economic well-being. So as to how it is decided and defined, I think there are considerations, but I think more than just the economic, we should be focusing on the key aspect of social well-being of people and society. And I think that would be a priority issue.
The next question is asked by me in the social development. So, on my question on social development, most of ASEAN member states are developing countries focusing on economic development. Are there any recommendations to draw member state attention to social development? And under the age of globalization, what do you think about social development in ASEAN with the age of globalization?
Thank you for the very good questions. Social development is very uneven because the economic development of the different countries are also very spread out. We have very developed countries in ASEAN, and we are also developing nations. And I think it's important that there is collaboration, cooperation, because in the exchange you will find that countries with economic development tend to move faster, and then they will have a trickle down on the social development aspect. But the new development theories are saying social and economic development has to go hand in hand, so that you do not miss out on the social aspect, which is actually more important than economic development. The idea that people's well-being is not measured by economic productivity, but the well-being is measured by happiness and a state of welfare where there is the concern for each other in the community. So that is more social inclusion, social integration, and social development together. So I think the question about globalization is important to look at globalization. Globalization, the critics have said that it is increasing inequality because of the trade and labor flow and also the financial aspect. But I think globalization has its positive effect in that it also helps developing countries to level up in terms of technology and skills. And so the education has to be a focus in developing countries, skills training, human capacity building, as well as social and human capital development. So these are important: creation of jobs, have income security, and be able to address some of the issues and concerns such as poverty, migration, and modernization. So I think you're right. Globalization is important and has impact. We should use the positive aspect of globalization, increasing exchange and cultural as well as economic collaboration.
For the next question, in your opinion, what are the important aspects in the context of social development after COVID-19 pandemic?
Well, COVID-19 has impacted the world. It has economic disruption, but the question here is, has the disruption affected social development in different countries? And the answer is yes. There's increased inequity, there's increase of poverty, and so the SDG goals of poverty elimination is actually set back by about 5 to 10 years. And I think we are making good progress. I hope with the recovery, there will be a focus on more access and employment across countries, and also the development of the social, cultural aspects of the different societies in ASEAN.
Thank you so much for your discussing, Tan. The next question is asked by Bijin Jinawat.
What do you think social workers should improve in the COVID-19 era?
Well, the COVID-19 has impacted many people and social workers as well. We have social workers in the healthcare sector that have to be in the front line with patients in COVID-19. I think in that context, social workers need self-care as well, because some of them has also contracted COVID-19, and because they are working very close with the families as well as the patients. So I would think we need to improve in valuing clients who are affected in the directly in the being contracting COVID-19. There will be a lot of anxiety, a fear about how they can be treated and whether they will recover. There's also the grief process when people have passed away, and working with the community in prevention. So there are areas that we can improve, but I would say valuing people, understanding their concerns, and then providing the community support is essential during the COVID era. But coming out of it, we need to realize that social workers have to make decisions in the midst of the pandemic. Social workers have to make decisions regarding the client's interests and concerns, and many of them have also gone online using social media, WhatsApp, Line to communicate with the clients. So I think the idea of building trust through social media, building the relationship, even though you don't see each other physically, I think it's important to develop skills in technology and use of social media. And that area is also an important aspect of integrating technology into social work practice.
Okay, thank you, Professor, for your answer. And the next question, in your opinion, how do we strengthen social worker in ASEAN?
Well, ASEAN is part of Asia, and Asian values and practices have to be integrated in that we can have indigenous models that are empowering. For example, how a community come together to support a family or an individual in crisis. It's important in the Asian context how the religion, how the culture, how the community respond to specific needs is also important. So we can integrate the cultural, religious, and social aspects of community life. And I think that must reinforce the localization as well as the looking at the broader picture of social work intervention.
Okay, thank you, Professor, for your answer.
The next question is asked by P. Muk Nopbada.
In your opinion, which model for social work suitable for ASEAN context?
Well, there are many models of social work. In fact, I think as many of the cultural social contexts, you will have as many models. So I would say for Thai, the Thai model, for Cambodia, the Cambodian model. Which model is best? I would think in our Asian context, the family model, the community models will be more suitable. The reason is that we are more community oriented and the family support system is still very critical. So I would suggest we move away from the individualistic model to a more communitarian approach. The idea here then is to strengthen families and community so that they can provide for the services and support of families that have troubles, as well as community development as a way to bring society forward to get out of poverty. You need the social network, social support system. So developing social capital as well as the human capital becomes a key strategy for social development.
Thank you, Dr. Tan. For the second question, what is the most important skill in the new era for social work?
Is there one important skill? I would say if we can lump it all together, the resilience of social worker. But I would say that encompasses a number of skills. The basic foundation skills have to be there: empathy, engagement, relationship building, building trust, building capacity of people, building capacity of the community, developing decision-making structures that is participatory and empowering people to make decisions. So there are many skills, but we can lump it together: resilience for the client, resilience for the social worker, ability to think on the feet, to actually move in terms of being relevant to society, to the client, taking the client's interests as paramount, and then moving forward together to resolve issues and problems in a way that is respectful, in a way that is empowering, in a way that is facilitating growth and change.
Final question is asked by Pina Kunwana, Executive Director.
So, Professor, the very last and important question. So what are the critical skills for decision making in the new social work paradigm, sir?
That's an excellent question. Critical skills in a new society for the future. Social workers have to be very adaptive, very flexible, and very creative. So what would that skill involve? I would say increasing competence in area of interpersonal dynamics, ability to see a big picture and be very adaptable to modern day solutions, increasing use of technology, being skilled in using technology, social media for impact. I would think all this means that social workers, to be able to deal with the new challenges after COVID-19 and any crisis, is to be resilient, is to be able to bounce back, both for the clients, for the society, social solidarity, and also personal self-care and resilience. We need to be able to protect social workers, and social workers need to be able to move with greater confidence and competence. So I would say resiliency, creativity, and adaptability are the key skills for the future.
Thank you, Professor. Such a wonderful answer and very interesting points of view. So that will be it for all the questions for our first speaking series today. And we'll have our team member to say a little word in a few moments. Thank you.
I would like to be a representative on behalf of ATCSW. Today, I would like to express gratitude and appreciation to Professor Tan for your own knowledge on this special occasion to fulfill the speaking series. We are extremely grateful to have you with us today. We hope to have an opportunity to invite you to share your knowledge with us again in the future. Thank you, and we wish you have a safe journey back to Singapore. Thank you, ha.